The Iron Maiden is a torture device that consisted of double doors on the front with an upright sarcophagus and spikes on the inner side. This notorious contraption is known by other names, such as the Virgin, a reference to the Virgin Mary, and Jungfer, which is a German word for spinster. The Iron Maiden is described as being a human-sized box laden with spikes on the inside. A victim would be forced inside this Iron Maiden and would be impaled by the spikes when the torture device was shut. The device was so tortuous that initially it was considered to be a fictional device with no real existence. However, various documented proofs of the device were subsequently found, and thus it was confirmed that the device was actually in vogue, although not perhaps during the medieval times. When was it used? Although the Iron Maiden is commonly associated with the Middle Ages, there is no account of it being used during that period, thus calling into question the claim that it was used as a torture device back then. Torture devices similar to the Iron Maiden, however, have been described in texts written before this period. As an example, in St. Augustine of the Hippo City of God, there is an account of Marcus Atilius Regulus, a Roman general who was tortured to death by the Carthaginians. In his work, St. Augustine wrote that Regulus was locked in a box with nails in it. The nails, however, did not pierce the general unless he fell asleep. Therefore, Regulus kept himself awake and finally died of sleep deprivation. The earliest account that we have of the Iron Maiden dates to the 18th century and was written by the historian Johann Philipp Siebenkees in a guidebook to the German city of Nuremberg. The historian claimed that a criminal was executed using an Iron Maiden in 1515. Siebenkees also noted that the spikes inside the device were deliberately made in such a way that they were not long enough to kill him. Therefore, he continued suffering for 2 days before dying. How did the torture device operate? The mechanism of operating it was quite simple. It had 2 doors that could be opened and shut. The victim was forced to get inside, which was more like a standing coffin with the difference that it had sharp spikes on the inside. Once inside, the doors were shut on the victim and the spikes would pierce several organs of the body. However, in order to make sure that the victim would not die instantaneously, the spikes were not made too long, as mentioned previously. This meant that they would only result in relatively small wounds, and the victim would bleed to death over the course of several hours. How were victims tortured using the Iron Maiden torture device? The positioning of the spikes inside the Iron Maiden were crucial to the torture. The spikes were so placed as to cause damage to various bodily organs, although never as much damage as to cause instant death. For instance, 2 spikes were placed specifically to penetrate the eyes. Similarly, other spikes were placed for the chest, genitals, and other organs of the body. The number of spikes inside the Iron Maiden varied from device to device, and it was carefully ensured that the spikes would not pierce very deep inside the organs in order to prolong the torture. How is the Schandmantel different from the Iron Maiden? The credibility of Siebenkees' story has been doubted, and it is commonly believed that it was invented by the historian himself. Alternatively, it is possible that Siebenkees has misinterpreted a medieval punishment device known as the Schandmantel, which was worn by German prostitutes and poachers for public humiliation. Although similar to the Iron Maiden, the Schandmantel did not have any spikes inside it. Nevertheless, Siebenkees' account of this gruesome device inspired his readers, and Iron Maidens began to be created based on what he wrote. Additionally, the Iron Maiden became closely associated with the city of Nuremberg, being called variously the Nuremberg Virgin, or an Iron Maiden topped with the head of the Virgin Mary and the Iron Maiden of Nuremberg. By the early 19th century, Iron Maidens were being created and displayed not only in Nuremberg, but also in other European cities. Moreover, towards the end of that century, in 1893, an Iron Maiden was exhibited at the World's Fair in Chicago. The Iron Maidens created during this time were pieced together from various medieval artifacts and spare parts and were displayed to the public for a fee. And those were some of the facts related to the Iron Maiden. What other torture device or history-related topics would you like us to cover next? Let us know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you again in the next video.